Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today's the first day that it's been sunny since I've had the Redeye. I got a few things I want to do to the Redeye today. You could say it's sort of a mod, but not really. I'm putting on the Mopar SRT brake and gas pedal, and I also picked up the dead pedal cover to match it, as well as the emergency brake cover. So I'm going to be putting all those on right now. Let's get the pedals looking like they should on an SRT. I know someone said that in the comments on my other video on the delivery day saying, hey, why didn't you have the Mopar SRT pedals? Well, we're doing those right now. Let's get started. Pretty easy install too. So the first thing to do is to remove the emergency brake cover, which we're going to do by pulling on the inside portion towards the brake pedal, and it'll come right off. So now all the steel is exposed. I'm gonna wipe that with rubbing alcohol and then heat it up. You wanna make sure it's nice and warm, and then we're gonna go ahead and put on the brake cover. So the only real problem here is I ordered the Charger dead pedal cover by accident. I know they're different, as the Charger's wider than the Challenger, almost double the width. However, I thought I ordered the Challenger, but I wasn't paying attention, apparently, and I ended up ordering the Charger by mistake, or maybe it's just a force of habit. So after tucking the dead pedal cover behind the kick panel of the Challenger, it's only sticking out about ½ an inch beyond where the factory dead pedal space is. So I'm not so sure I would change it. It's almost perfect right now, but like I said, it just sticks out a little bit back here. Basically, it comes to right about there. That's how much extra it's sticking out. So about ½ of an inch, maybe ½ an inch. I think it looks good, and it gives more room for my foot. However, I'm not so sure. So what do you guys think? Should I leave the Charger dead pedal in here, or should I get the Challenger? I think the Challenger is going to be neater and more clean, as it only fits right in here in the middle, and you get a little bit of the carpet around it, so it looks more organized. But I like the bigger dead pedal, as I don't want to get any dirt in the carpet and whatnot. And it just, in my opinion, I like it bigger, so I like it. But what do you guys think? So I want to talk about one quick thing about the Widebody. As you can see up there on the front tire, about 60% of the way down, the tire is wider than the flare, so it kicks rocks and dirt all over the front flare. And it comes back here and in turn hits the flare on the rear. You don't really got to worry about the door too much because it's completely flat and there's nothing protruding out from the door. So you're going to get a little bit of dirt across the bottom of the door, but it's really going to attack this fender flare back here. So I'm going to expel wrap all 4 fender flares in its entirety, end to end, all the way around. Then I'm going to put a little piece right here. Then you can see they've got another skinny little piece right here, which is nowhere near enough. So I'm going to cover this whole section of the bumper here and maybe a little piece right here. Then at the front of the vehicle, I'm going to expel wrap the entire fender flare, but I'm also going to put a little strip right here and maybe another little strip across the bottom of the door. I haven't decided yet. Then up here, I'm going to expel wrap this portion of the bumper right here, the rest of the front bumper, and most likely the mirrors. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm hitting the road. I know some people don't like this idea, but I'm gonna hit this area right there, and of course on the back with some painter's tape. Everywhere I go with the Redeye, I'm gonna have some painter's tape on those 2 locations because they're the worst, just until the expel goes on in a couple of days. Now, just to show you guys how good Zurich Shield or Topcoat is, you can see all the salt on the paint. Now, you don't want to wipe stuff like that as it'll scratch the paint. Just rinsing water over it, you can see it rinses the salt completely off and the water beads off itself. Absolutely nothing on the paint. So Topcoat and Zurich Shield won't protect the paint from rock chips, but it will protect it from fine scratches and dirt sticking and stuff like that, and paint fade. It does protect the clear. It is freezing and windy out, and of course it wouldn't be a complete video if I didn't do a cold start of the Green Beast, aka the Redeye. So let's go ahead and fire it up again. You know you guys love listening to the Redeye. cannot wait to get the GTOS exhaust on. We're going there really soon. Let's take a look at the protection I put around the fender flares until I can get the expel on. Blue painter's tape is really safe for the paint. It'll protect rock chips, debris, salt, corrosion, and stuff like that from the areas that have the most impact due to the wide body stance. You can see I got the fender flare protected as well as the inner portion of the fender. Even on the front fender, I have the same protection. Just for now, it's going to keep the paint from getting chipped. Now, it doesn't look the best, but it definitely gets the job done, which is protect the paint, and that's the most important thing here. So when you're breaking a new vehicle in, you really don't want to be on the highway, and that's where I'm at now, but there's a way around it. You want to vary the RPMs. Definitely most important in the first 100 miles. I've been at 1800 now for about a mile and a half, so I'm going to downshift, and we're going to pull it up to 25. And we're just going to drive it like this for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then we'll accelerate at light throttle and then shift down a gear to 6th again. And then after a minute of that, I'll switch down to 7th. And you want to do this in the first 100 miles. And then between 100 and 300, you want to occasionally do that as well. So basically, if you have less than 300 miles on the car that you're breaking in, you want to vary the RPMs as much as possible. It makes the rings seat better. You don't want to have the rings seating at 1 RPM when the vehicle's new. It'll increase, oil consumption and whatnot. There's a whole process to this. And you can see I downshifted back to 1800. And since I was there for a little while before, I'm going to shift again. And we're going to put it down to 1600. We'll do this for maybe 2 or 3 miles. And then I will upshift again to 1800. I'll do that for a couple miles, and then I'll upshift to 2200. I'll do this basically the whole ride, back home, which will get me right over 100 miles. Then it's not as crucial. The first 100 miles is the most crucial. Just stay at 60 miles per hour or below, which is where I'm at right now, and RPMs below 3,500, varying the RPMs as much as possible if you're on the highway or straight city driving, light braking, no heavy cornering or braking, or acceleration for that matter. And that's basically how you brake in the vehicle properly so that your engine will be the best that it can be for years to come. Definitely don't want to drive hard in the first 500 miles. But between 300 and 500, you can exercise the full RPM range. You just don't want to hammer down the throttle every 2 seconds. So you can definitely get on it once in a while. As you can see, I downshifted again. Then I'll do this one more time. That's pretty much how you brake in the car. Love riding in the Redeye. It's really a fantastic vehicle. Very comfortable on the highway. I love it. Well, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. Got the Redeye back in the garage and safe from the crazy 9-degree weather that we have outside right now. Basically just doing the break-in procedure on the Redeye, and it's the same for pretty much all Mopars, especially the SRTs. You really want to follow the guidelines for braking in the vehicle. From 0 to 100 miles, you don't want to go above 3,500 RPMs. You want to vary the RPM, so if you're on the highway shifting up and down or city driving, and you don't want to go over half throttle or above 55 or 60 miles per hour. When you are between 100 and 300 miles, you can exercise the RPMs up to 5,000, but don't go above 65 miles per hour. And you don't want to exceed more than half throttle during that time frame either. And I highly suggest varying the RPMs as well. And then when you're from 300 to 500 miles, you can go full throttle and exercise the full range of RPMs. However, you do not want to do that often. So you don't want to live at the red line. You can go to red line and shift. That's it. Call it a day. Once in a while is fine. Definitely want to keep varying the RPMs. You don't really want to highway cruise at 1 solid RPM until you're over 500 miles. Once 500 miles is reached, then the SRT pages will be fully active for launch control and stuff like that. Once the vehicle hits 500 miles, I'm going to do a magnetic drain plug and oil change. I highly recommend the Mishimoto drain plug for your SRT, as it's going to get all the metal particles out of the oil. Once you drain the oil at 500 miles, you're still going to have magnetic shavings from the piston rings and the engine brake-in, even up to 1,500 miles, and you want to make sure none of those particles go to the engine. So after you change your oil at 500 miles, and once you get to 1,500 miles, check the magnetic drain plug tip. You're going to see some shavings and debris on there. That is what's not going to be in your engine, so I highly recommend doing that, and that's what I'm going to do on the Challenger. After the break-in of 500 miles and the first oil change with the magnetic drain plug from Mishimoto, I plan on driving it pretty much normally, but no heavy braking or road coursing or drag strip until after 1,500 miles, which will then again have another oil change. And then at that point, I really will drive the car the way it was meant to be driven. That's how you really do the break-in procedure on an SRT if you really want to baby it and take care of it. If you plan to own one of these cars or already own one, you should know and understand you're going to have rock chips if you don't use Expel or really good ceramic coating, because of the simple fact that the tires stick out beyond the wide body flares in the bottom portion of the fenders and the rear quarter panels. So the tires are going to throw rocks. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Anybody who doesn't understand that is going to have rock chips everywhere, and I've already planned to get Expel on here. So that's going to eliminate that issue. I know there's been certain individuals complaining about rock chips on their vehicle, but the thing is, it's to be expected. And it's crazy because a lot of people complained and bitched that the Hellcat only came with 275s and they weren't very sticky at all. In fact, they had no real traction for that much power. And everybody complained about them that they were hard as a rock and they didn't work and we need wider tires. And now we have 305s on the Redeye, and let me tell you, even in the winter, they're really sticky. Rocks just literally stick to them. They are great tires for the Redeye. Dodge finally got the tire formula right for this vehicle, and there's still people bitching about rock chips. I mean, let's look at the facts here. If you have sticky tires and they're wide, you're going to throw rocks everywhere. So you either want to have sticky tires that throw rocks, or you want to have regular tires that are like bricks and very bad for traction. You're going to spin everywhere. It's the nature of the beast. That's how it works. Dodge got the formula right on the Redeye, and it handles better than my Charger did. That goes without saying. I got a full review coming up on the Redeye, and let me tell you guys, it is a lot better of a vehicle. There are some things I like better about the Charger Hellcat. I'm going to do a video on that as well, comparing the two vehicles side by side and what I think about each vehicle and what's better, pros and cons, from the Charger Hellcat to the Challenger Redeye. So I'm going to do a video on that as well. If you're stopping in for the first time, guys, go ahead and subscribe, comment below, thumbs up, share the video. What do you guys think of today's video? Be sure to check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv, after hours, playing video games like Black Ops 4, as well as Fortnite, Overwatch, and Battlefield, stuff like that. If you don't have an account, it's free. Twitch.tv, look me up, Drive with Demons, hang out with me after hours, talk about games, cars, doesn't matter. Anything goes over there. And once I go full-time with YouTube, which I'm getting much closer to doing, my brother and I are going to be on Twitch more often, almost every day of the week. It's going to be a lot of fun, so be sure to check me out over at twitch.tv. And don't forget to support the channel, drivewaydemons.com. You can also get your key tags, hoodies, t-shirts, and more. drivewaydemons.com. Be sure to check out my brother's channel, This Can't Be Happening, all lowercase, one word. This can't be happening. So I just want to thank all my subscribers. You guys are the best. Couldn't have got here without you. And I got a lot of stuff for you. Lots of good plans for the Redeye. It is a sexy beast. Don't you guys think? Just love this green. Keeping it clean here in the garage. We'll see you guys on the next video. But until then, take care and have a great night.